The movie begins in a quiet classroom where Marty, a teacher, notices his students' attention suddenly shift to the window. Fire trucks and police cars rush by, sirens wailing, signaling that something terrible has happened nearby. The children whisper that yet another earthquake has shaken California and that entire sections of land have disappeared into the sea. Marty instinctively reaches for the computer to check updates, but the internet is already down, leaving everyone unsettled. Later that day, Marty is expected to meet with the parents of his students, yet the air is filled with distraction and unease. The internet outage has rattled everyone, making it feel as though the world itself is breaking apart. He has hard copies of his students' records, but even that small sense of control seems meaningless against the growing dread of isolation. When he leaves the school, traffic is a nightmare. With stoplights out of service, the streets become chaotic, and Marty is forced to crawl through a sea of stranded vehicles. Above a nearby bank, he notices a sign thanking a man named Chuck for 39 great years, a curious and oddly cheerful message in the middle of despair. Around the world, reports pour in of disasters unfolding with terrifying speed. Oceans devour coastlines, volcanoes erupt with fury, wildfires rage unchecked, and tsunamis wipe away entire towns. In China, riots erupt as fear spreads. Meanwhile, Marty's ex-wife Felicia struggles to keep herself together at a local hospital where she works as a nurse. For weeks, staff have been dwindling, many succumbing to despair and taking their own lives. The endless cycle of watching co-workers collapse has left Felicia emotionally scarred. During a break in the restroom, she overhears yet another broadcast that strangely ends by thanking Chuck for 39 years. The same words Marty had seen on the bank's sign. When a fellow nurse asks Felicia which is harder, marriage or divorce, she replies without hesitation that marriage is over quickly, while divorce drags on for months, reflecting the exhaustion of her own failed marriage. That night, Felicia dials Marty's number. There's a vulnerability in her voice as she admits she's been thinking of him all day. She wonders if separated couples are finding comfort in each other again during these desperate times. She mentions co-workers who have quit to be with their families, craving familiarity before the world ends. Marty shares his own fears, speaking philosophically about humanity's fleeting place in the vast timeline of the cosmos, like grains of sand slipping away. Then Felicia mentions the strange Chuck advertisement she saw earlier. Marty admits he saw it too. Neither has any clue who Chuck is or why his name appears everywhere. Their call ends, but unease lingers. Later, when Marty turns on the television, the signal flickers and dies. Suddenly, Chuck's face fills the screen, accompanied by an announcer thanking him for 39 years, before the broadcast cuts out into static again. The following morning, Marty observes his neighbor walking rather than driving. The man explains that a massive sinkhole has opened up, swallowing entire stretches of road, cars, and even buildings. The city is effectively divided in half. Traffic has become impossible. Together, they discuss the worsening situation across the globe. California is down to only a sliver of land, the Midwest is ablaze, and Florida lies beneath water. America's food supply is effectively gone. Famine devastates Asia, where millions are already dead. Europe is in chaos, and the bubonic plague has returned. Even the bees essential to survival are nearly gone, with perhaps only a few left in South America. As more neighbors return home, Marty notices they wear the heavy expressions of people who have abandoned hope. His neighbor remarks that humanity has passed through the stages of grief, first denial, then anger and riots, followed by waves of despair and self-destruction. Now, they seem resigned to simply waiting for the end. Their bleak conversation is interrupted when a plane flies overhead, trailing smoke that writes "Thanks Chuck" across the sky. On her way to work, Felicia encounters walls covered in graffiti paying tribute to Chuck. When she arrives at the hospital, she finds the building eerily empty, no doctors, no nurses, no patients. Yet every heart monitor is on, perfectly synchronized to the same heartbeat, as if all tied to a single life. The sterile beeps echo in the vacant halls, unsettling her deeply. Meanwhile, Marty grows restless, unable to reach Felicia. The phones are dead, and the television remains blank. He sets out to find her. As he crosses town, he sees more abandoned cars and countless Chuck signs plastered on walls and windows. Exhausted, he sits beside an old man named Sam who admits he has no idea who Chuck is either, though he has asked around. Nobody knows. They walk together for a while, reflecting on life and time, how fragile it all is. When Sam's arthritis forces him to stop, he tells Marty he'll stay to watch the sunset while Marty continues forward. By evening, Marty finally reaches Felicia's neighborhood. A teenage girl named Iris greets him. She recognizes Felicia's name, recalling how she used to give cookies to the kids in the area. Iris is skating, determined to squeeze joy from the dwindling days of existence. Suddenly, the entire neighborhood goes dark. In every window, glowing Chuck ads flicker to life, transforming the streets into a spectral gallery. Alarmed, Marty runs faster until he finds Felicia. The two reunite in a desperate embrace, clinging to each other amid the confusion. Even Felicia admits she has no idea how the ads appeared inside her home. Somewhere else, a man named Chuck lies in bed, frail and fading. His wife Ginny and son Brian watch over him, tears streaming as his heartbeat echoes across the same monitors Felicia had seen earlier. It becomes clear that Chuck's life is linked to the fate of the world itself. Back at Felicia's home, the couple retreats to her backyard where the night sky glimmers brighter than ever before. With electricity gone everywhere, the stars appear sharp and endless. They hold hands and trace constellations together. But suddenly, one by one, stars vanish. Mars disappears. Then entire clusters blink out of existence. At the same moment, Ginny and Brian whisper their final goodbyes to Chuck, thanking him for 39 years as he slips away. Marty tries to confess his love to Felicia, but before the words can leave his lips, everything dissolves into blackness. The story then shifts back 9 months earlier. A young woman named Taylor works in a record store but prefers to play drums on street corners, pouring her soul into music. Occasionally she collects tips, though money is never her motivation. Across town, Janice trudges home in misery after her boyfriend ends their relationship with a text. She works at a bookstore but feels aimless, haunted by the memory of her lost passion for dance. Meanwhile, Chuck is attending a banking conference. He is a respected accountant, loyal to his high school sweetheart Ginny, proud of his son Brian, but weary of his monotonous profession. As he walks the streets in his usual stern manner, Taylor begins drumming an upbeat tune. Something inside Chuck stirs. To everyone's astonishment, he begins to dance. The crowd quickly grows, energized by the unexpected sight. Janice, drawn by the music, joins in. Soon she and Chuck dance together as Taylor keeps the rhythm alive. Laughter, clapping, and cheers erupt, money raining into Taylor's hat. Though Chuck feels a flash of pain in his head, he brushes it off and continues moving. Afterward, the three strangers sit together at a cafe, sharing the collected tips. Taylor dubs them buskers forever before heading off. Chuck and Janice walk together, talking about heartbreak, life, and resilience. Though they part ways, both carry a newfound spark from the encounter. Later, when Chuck's illness renders him too weak to eat or even stand, he will think back to that dance and conclude that moments of joy, not numbers in ledgers, are the true purpose of existence. Chuck's story stretches further back, to when he was a child living with his grandparents after his parents' tragic death in a car crash. His grandfather Albie, drowning his grief in alcohol, taught Chuck the discipline of numbers, while his grandmother Sarah brought light back into their home with music and dancing. She often pulled young Chuck into joyful steps across the kitchen floor, unknowingly planting in him the gift that would define his spirit. Their house had one forbidden place, the old cupola on the roof, always locked. Albie warned that inside one could see things they shouldn't. He himself had entered a few times and claimed he saw visions of people before their deaths. The waiting, he insisted, was always the hardest part. Sarah dismissed these tales as drunken fantasy, but Chuck remained curious. One evening, after Sarah's sudden death, grief deepened. Albie's drinking worsened, but young Chuck, determined to find meaning, pursued dance at school. His teacher paired him with an older girl named Kat, sparking his first crush. With encouragement, he performed at the school dance, receiving cheers and even a kiss on the cheek from Kat. Yet Albie continued to press math upon him, insisting that numbers were the purest art, honest and eternal. Years later, after Albie's heart attack, Chuck inherited the house. Alone and mourning, he finally unlocked the mysterious cupola. Inside, he saw a vision of himself lying in bed, dying just as Albie once had. With trembling resolve, Chuck realized that life's weight lies not in waiting for death but in choosing how to fill the space in between. He recited the words of a poem his teacher once shared, "I contain multitudes." In that moment, Chuck decided he would live fully, embracing both numbers and music, love and sorrow, knowing that in the end, his world, and all worlds, existed within him. And that's how this incredible movie comes to an end. We'll meet again with another amazing story explained in detail. Until then, take care of yourself, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.